Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the British Tier 9 tank destroyer, the Tortoise. So is it any good? Yeah, it's good. If you like sniping at ranges over 300 meters, it's a very good tank. If you like to get in brawl, it's a disaster. But if you play it the way like sniping, it's very good. It has 2,000 hit points, which is the most by far of any Tier 9 tank destroyer. The next closest being the Jagdtiger with 1,800 and a T95 with 1,700. So you get the idea that 2,000 is a lot of hit points. It weighs in at 77 tons, the heaviest being the T95 at 98 tons, but the Tortoise is the second heaviest at 77. So you can ram pretty much anyone, but you probably won't because you won't be able to catch them. It is slow at 20 kilometers an hour in forward and 10 kilometers an hour in reverse. It is a slow tank. The next slowest the slowest being the T95 at 13 forward and 6 reverse, but this is the second slowest. To give you an idea, the third slowest would be the Jagdtiger at 30 kilometers an hour. So 20 kilometers an hour is seriously slow, and the name Tortoise is a very good name for this tank. The traverse speed of 22 is also terrible. The only tank worse than that is the T95 with 18 track traverse. Equally, the Object 704 also has 22 track traverse, but it is agonizingly slow. Any tank gets past you, you're dead. Which is another reason why it doesn't do very well on the front line, this tank, because anybody who has any sense, if they see you on the front line, they'll just drive past you. They'll take a hit on the way through, and then they'll just shoot the crap out of you. The turret traverse, well, it's not really a turret, but the gun traverse is 27, which is the same speed as nearly all of them. It has a very large turret traverse, though. It goes pretty much like the AT-15, from one edge of the tank to the other edge of the tank, which means you can angle a tank about like that and still be able to shoot your opponents, which is a very good thing. The view range of this tank is 390, which is average, and the signal range of 750 is the best in class. Camouflage for this tank, though, is awful. Truly awful. It's pretty similar to a heavy tank in camouflage rating. The next worst would be the T30, which is pretty much a big heavy tank. And the next worst after that would probably be the Foch. But truly, it's terrible camouflage. Really, really poor, and really, yeah, very similar camouflage to a heavy tank. Gun depression wise, though, thankfully, it's very, very good and is the equal best in class. It shares that honour of minus 10 degrees gun depression with the T30. The T30, however, is limited with gun depression of 15 degrees, which is a little bit limiting, whereas this has a gun elevation of 20 degrees. So a depression of 10, elevation of 20, it is the most versatile gun, and when you consider the width of traverse, it's probably the most versatile gun in its class, other than the T30, of course, which has a turreted gun. So let's have a look. The armor on this tank is an issue, and that is why it's no good at close range. Other tanks will punch holes in you at will, but once you go over 300 meters, they start to bounce, and that's why it's a bit of a sniper tank. The other reason why is because the gun is an excellent sniper gun. So let's have a look at it in more detail. So I'm not going to go into the intricacies of the radio and all that sort of stuff. You can pretty much work that all out by Tier 9. Let's have a look at this gun though. You do have an A barrel, a B barrel and an A barrel. This is the gun with the A barrel. It's a 120mm gun, so quite a large gun. Has a rate of fire of 8.45, and for a gun this size, 8.45 is a pretty good rate of fire. The average penetration of 259 is also very good, and if you decide to use premium ammunition, you can get 326 penetration out of this gun, which is a heck of a lot, and it will allow you to penetrate just about any tank in the game. Damage of 400 isn't huge, but combined with, especially for a tank destroyer, but combined with this rate of fire, it's quite good. And whereas in most tank destroyers you'd only get one shot into a tank before it manages to creep away, With this, you generally manage to get, say, 2 shots into it before the tank can move away, and if you're lucky enough to track it with one of those shots, you can probably get a couple more into it. Accuracy of 0.31 is one of the best accuracies in the game World of Tanks. I'm not so sure how accurate that is, but how realistic that is, whether it's not quite 0.31 standard, but it is still very good accuracy, there's no doubt about that. The aim time of 1.7 is sensational in a gun this size. I can't think of any other tank where you get such a short aiming time on such a big gun. That is really, really good. Now, you could fire HE ammo in this tank because it does have 120 penetration, so it might be worth on some tanks to fire it. I don't use it though because the damage of 515 isn't that much above your standard damage to sort of risk being caught out against a heavily armoured tank with a HE round in your gun. So I didn't really use it, but it would be an option if you knew you were firing against very lightly armoured tanks. Enough about that. So yeah, this tank doesn't have any real areas where it constantly catches on fire or anything like that. The only thing I can say is that the cupola is a really obvious weak point on this tank, and everybody shoots at it. And fairly often when that gets hit, it actually takes out your loader. So it's a good idea to have a health kit or 2 handy to revive your loader, because that does go sometimes when it gets hit, and it gets hit a lot, especially at close range. I will go into the armor and tactics a little bit more in Tank Inspector. In fact, I think that's probably all I have to say about it from now. Let's get into Tank Inspector, have a look at it there. Oh, before I go, the crew is fully trained, and I have vents fitted, so of course they are even more highly trained. I also would generally have camouflage net and binoculars on this tank. As you can see, the commander has 6th Sense, Mentor, and is 90% in repairs. Repairs, camouflage, and firefighting here. And here we have repairs, smooth ride, and he's currently working on clutch braking. This guy has repairs, signal boosting, and he's currently working on signal situational awareness. This guy's repairs, camouflage, and is working on firefighting. And this loader here has repairs, firefighting, is currently working on camouflage. Let's get into Tank Inspector. Here we are looking at the Tortoise in Tank Inspector. This is currently version 9 of World of Tanks, and you can tell that because some of the tanks have had high definition remodeling, and you can usually tell if they have because they've got rifling in the gun barrel, like you can see here. Now, what that means though is these tanks have been remodeled, and they have made the armor values more accurate, in their words. What that basically means is most of the tanks that have had the remodeling have had an armor nerf, with the exception of the Tigers, which are pretty much identical to what they were before. What do I mean by that? Well, let's have a look. This service hatch you can see here, which is beautifully detailed in high definition, never used to be there. It used to be there, but it wasn't so defined. It used to be like this, 102mm, but now it's more accurate, it's 57mm. That means this tank is extremely easy to penetrate frontally just here. Most shells that hit that from most big tank tier 10 and tier 9 tanks will overmatch, and it's a guaranteed penetration. A real weak spot on this tank now since version 9.0 came out. And in general, any tank that has had HD modeling is now more easy to penetrate than it was before. Alright, that said, let's have a look at the rest of the armor. So, the lower plate here is 229mm thick, as is the upper portion of the tank here. This extremely flat section here, which normally has the machine gun port in it, is very easy to penetrate at 229mm. Here, it's not so bad if you're facing front on because it's quite heavily sloped. You can see we're getting very high values there. This cheek area here is 152mm thick and is easily penetrated from the front. This area here is 172mm thick and is also easily penetrated from the front. The beak of the tank is also the same as that, 172mm. This section, the 102mm section, was traditionally not too easy to penetrate because of the heavy sloping, but now this service hatch. A couple of people have started to shoot me in the service hatch, but a lot of people still don't know about it. Once they do, it'll start to get penetrated a lot, I'm pretty sure. The really weak spot of this tank is, of course, the cupola. We have 172 millimeters here at the front, which is easily penetrated because it's flat, and the green portion is only 102 millimeters thick. Yeah, which it's very easy to penetrate. I'll talk about the mantlet in a second. We'll come back to that. On the side of the tank, we have 155 millimeters, which is great when you're angling your tank, but from side on, it just doesn't hold up. Down underneath that, we have 102 millimeters, which is also the same as the rear half of the tank, 102 millimeters. We do have some nice spaced armor here, though, overlaying that 102 millimeters, which is 51 millimeters thick, once again making the tank quite formidable when angled. The rear of the tank, though, is 102 millimeters thick, but then, hey, it is the rear. And we have the upper deck here is only 35 millimeters thick, although that's not bad for an upper deck. And the very top deck of the tank is 25 millimeters thick. It doesn't do too badly against HE, that rear deck, but you are an easy target for artillery. The turret, now let's have a look at it. Well, the turret is very, very strong indeed. So you remember on the AT-15, this tank's predecessor had a lot of weak areas. Well, they've kind of done away with the mantlet being a weak area. It's now a very strong part of the tank. This red area here is 406 millimeters thick. That's a heck of a lot of armor. And with the angling and sloping, it gets even thicker. This pink section here is a spaced armor which runs over the top of it. So it's 102 millimeters overlaying 406 millimeters. That is impenetrable at 571 millimeters equivalent. If you get very close to the gun, though, you can see it's only the 102 millimeters of this overlaying section, but at least it's got that. To be honest, in 175 games, I only know of one time that anyone has even hit my mantlet, and they hit it about there, and it didn't penetrate. So people basically avoid your mantlet like the plague. So you don't. It is very safe. No one shoots at it because you wouldn't shoot at it in your right mind anyway. That said, of course, the cupola is the obvious weak spot, and this tank can be shot in a weak spot from any position. I have tried getting behind buildings and sheltering that half of my tank to protect the cupola, but these ends of the tank are so easy to penetrate, they just penetrate that anyway. Now, I have seen reviews of people saying, and I have heard people on forums saying, oh, when you angle this tank, because you can angle it quite well because the gun traverse is good, it is a beast and no one can penetrate you. Well, if at close range, that is the most crap I have ever heard. If you do manage to angle and not get penetrated, it's either because you're against very low tier tanks or absolute morons who have no idea where to shoot. Because this area here, as we can see, 229 meter thick, I'm angled quite heavily, about as heavily as you could with the gun still pointing at your target, and it still gives us 230 millimeters. If there's a tier 9 or 10 gun that can't penetrate that, it shouldn't be in tier 9 or 10. This section down here, which is 152 millimeters quick, is giving us about 205 millimeters. The side armor, though, is very strong. Here, this area here, which is very bouncy from the front on, because of the sloping and angling of it, comes out as 511 millimeters there. Once we do angle our tank at close to 45, it becomes pretty flat. It's only 271 millimeters equivalent, so they can punch you anywhere here. Then, of course, we've still got this crappy 57 millimeter plate they can punch a hole into. This area here of 102 millimeters can have a hole punched in it. The mantlet's still strong, but even over here comes up 273 equivalent. That's starting to get pretty good. And the lower plate comes up pretty good. But the rest of the tank is Swiss cheese. And when you angle it this way, similarly, this plate is very easy to penetrate. This plate starts to become flat. Once again, the more angle it, the more flatter it gets. So at close range, this gets shot a heck of a lot. I can tell you, this area a lot, this area a lot, and the cupola all the time. But if you're over 300 meters, people start to miss what they aim at, and they also start to drop in their penetration, and you will start to bounce a lot of shots over 300 meters. If you're close range, like in a town, and I avoid going to towns like the plague in this tank, but if you're in a town and close range fighting in a town, expect pretty much 100% of the shots that hit you to penetrate. 100 to 95%. If you're at 300 meters, expect 50% of the shots that hit you to penetrate. It's that much of a difference. Alright, let's get into some gameplay.
Let's go.
Okay, I'm going to speed this up while I talk to 4 times. The map is Swamp. It's a tier 9 game. We have 3 tier 9s on each team. Most of the rest are tier 8s and there's a few tier 7s. I'm platooned up with my Warthog 1R platoon mate T-Rex. He's in an STI, and I've taken up a sniping position. But what has happened is that we've got about 5 or 4 heavy tanks and a medium tank on the right flank, or 5 heavy tanks all moving up together, which is really unusual in this map. And our left flank is actually looking a bit poor. There's not many on the left flank. So we're not going to get much sniping opportunity because it looks like our tanks are pushing forward. I'm going to slow down now to normal speed, because we decide we have to move forward because our team's doing so well on the right flank. We're not going to get a shot. We're going to get left behind. I see this RHM on the way over. 506 meters. Bang. That's an accurate gun. Now T-Rex decides he's going to go and try and help out our left flank so that they don't collapse, because they're all just pretty much TDs. So he's going over there with his heavy tank to help them out and shore up that flank. I want to get some shots off, some sniping shots, so I'm going to go straight up here and try and pop my head over the middle and see if I can sneak some shots into people. I'll just speed it up to 2 times again. So the right flank is pretty much secure. Our heavies have just stormed through there. I see this IS-3, but then I notice a T-29 on the way up. I slow down to normal speed now. Then I see this RHM and WT. Holy smoke, 2 very dangerous tanks together. I managed to get a shot off and then I back up. Now there's no artillery in this game, so I'm pretty safe as long as I keep myself behind this ridgeline. But I don't want to expose myself to those 2 auto-loading German tank destroyers again, because they'll tear me to pieces. So I decided to move closer to this hill before sticking my head over the ridge again. I want to get a shot on this T-29. Unfortunately he disappears. I take a blind shot, but I'm pretty sure it missed. But then I see these couple of tanks pop up, so looking for that Chi-Ri. Someone else has nailed him, so there's an IS-3. I blind fire at the IS-3 because he disappears. Don't know if we hit him or not. Someone else gets the IS-3 next to me, which is great, so he won't be shooting me. So I feel like I'm fairly safe where I am now, but I decide to maybe edge over and see if I can just sneak a look at those tank destroyers, those German ones down there, and just shave the edge of this rock and see if we get him. But then I see we've been spotted again, so light up the Tiger. He's dead already. Okay, the IS-3. So I don't know if we hit him before or not, but we definitely hit him with this one. This plate looks less angled to me, so I'm aiming for the plate on the side of his tank, but that shot goes across, hits him on the other side. So I line up again. That one went across him on the side as well, but it did penetrate. It's only 110mm stick, the front of the IS-3. The VK. So we've got fairly long range here. Like I say, this is 390 meters, 400 meters now. As long as you're over 300 meters, the tank is, as you can see, very accurate, great rate of fire, and I haven't been spotted. And with this rate of fire, we can do a lot of damage to these tanks. And this, I gotta tell you, this is a lot of fun. Didn't penetrate the IS-6 with that shot. Trying to go for a track. We actually hit the front of his armor, but it goes in. So I'm probably not going to need to track him now. We'll try and get a killing shot. And we do. Then we see his T-69s pop up again. Unfortunately, I'm not reloaded. But you can see there the very quick aim time of this gun. I could have had a shot at him if I was loaded. I probably would have hit him. Yeah, at long range with tanks popping up and things, the quick aim time and the great accuracy make this a pretty deadly tank at range. Close up, unfortunately, because 400 damage is not enough to really scare people at close range, so tanks will just drive past you and hit you. Just going to speed this up at every opportunity I get because it's a long game. My teammate tracked himself there. I'm being a little cautious here. I'm really worried about those 2 German tank destroyers, and I can see that 2 tanks have been spotted on my right. If I go any further forward than this, I'll be giving them the side of my tank to shoot at, and the side of this thing is pretty weak. Still running at 2 times. I'm looking over there to see that T-69, but he's behind a mountain, so I can't hit him. The WZ there is chasing after those 2 tanks, and he's been shooting, but nothing's been spotted, so I think it's just been blind firing. I decided to move out to try and get shot on his T-29, but he's not actually in a position where I can shoot him. Now I'm really worried about these tanks over here, and sure enough, he pops up. He shoots and hits me for 477 and then pops behind the rock again. But the WT is out. He gets me for 530, but I get him as well. Let's see where they hit. We got penetrated twice there. As you can see, they're both aiming for my little machine gun cupola thingy. But one of them has actually hit the driver's cupola and slid along the top of the tank and actually gone in. And the other one has just nicked the top corner there and gone in. That happens a lot. Even if they are aiming for that machine gun cupola thing and they don't hit it, I'm going to blind shoot here. I've got another one into me now. They still often manage to penetrate. The top of the tank is quite weak, and I think maybe they are slightly elevated to me. I try moving back here to get a better position. Now I do say to my teammate that you know, I'd really like to move forward here and rush them to get my top gun, but I'm worried about that T-95 there on my right, and he just puts a shot at the T-95 there really well. T-Rex, good shot. And he says to me, mate, you've already got top gun. So he just bounced a shot off the RHM there, and that was the first time I realised I actually already had top gun. I think, oh, have I? Oh, okay. We're going to win. We way outnumber them, and I'll let you into a secret. I don't hit anything else for the rest of the game. I can't risk exposing the side of my tank to the T-29, and the RHM doesn't. It does actually briefly give me a chance to shoot it, but he hides again. So I think, in the interest of saving time, we'll leave the game there. We basically just tanks drive up and kill both of them. Okay, so yes, we did get a top gun, and we got class 2 as well there. Now you can see we hit a fair few tanks. Have a look at the next screen, and we can see that we finished on top 4 experience, and we did a fair amount of damage, 3,400. Pretty good effort. And our teammate T-Rex did okay. And we fired 18 shots, 14 of which were direct hits. And when you consider the range that we were shooting at most of those tanks, that's very, very good accuracy. The 14 direct hits, 12 penetrated, which is excellent. Admittedly, they were tier 8, only a few tier 9s, the rest were tier 8s and things, so that helps a lot. Tier 10s will bounce shots more than that. Damage 3,400. Hits received 4. 3 of them penetrated. We did bounce one. Enemy vehicles damaged 7. Destroyed 6. We also did a fair bit of spotting damage there. 1,864. Generally not a super profitable tank, but not bad. In this case we won and we stayed alive, so pretty good profit. Now we did 1,133 experience on a win, and that was only enough for class 2. So it is a little difficult to get mastering this tank, and I didn't get mastering this tank. So far I've only got class 2. I got it a number of times, but that's the best I've been able to do.
Time to roll out.
The map is Kamaran. We're in our tier 9 Tortoise. It is a tier 9 match. Just over half the tanks on each team are tier 9. Most of the rest are tier 8. And as I've explained, I have finally learned that this is a sniper tank, and I am moving to the forested or treed area for concealment, so I can shoot at long range. Once you start, if you get spotted at medium range, I find in this tank I get killed very, very quickly. And with the cupola being such an obvious weak spot, it's very hard to hide this tank once it's spotted. Very hard to get into a position where you can't get shot at. The enemy only has 1 artillery, and it's tier 8. I'm just going to speed this up now. Most of the first half of the game I'm going to run it 2 times, because the first half of the game is pretty quiet and pretty boring. It's just me really hiding in the bushes, taking the occasional shot. If there's any action, I will slow it down though, of course. So I pick a bush and I hide. Move around a little bit from time to time to get a better positioning. This Lorraine is just checking me out, checking out the way I look. Likes the paint job apparently. Okay, so it's an IS-3, so we're back to normal speed. And we've managed to track him, which was lucky. I wasn't trying to track him, I was just trying to get a shot into his side, but that's a bonus. We blind fire, and yep, it looks like we hit him. So you can see there with the fantastic rate of fire of this gun, and actually with tracking him, we're pretty much just wasted an IS-3 straight away. I'm just going to speed it back up to 2 times. Actually I lied, it's 4 times. Now it's 2 times. So I'm just trying to aim. I can see there's an M103 there. I haven't got a shot on it, it's behind the hill. Just blind firing, taking a guess. I am quite well covered here, quite well sheltered. It's hard for them to spot me where I am, so okay, slowing it down to normal speed, and you can see he's actually behind the hill. We can't get a shot on him at the moment. And my biggest problem is I get bored, and look, we almost had a shot in there. I get bored and I tend to decide to just charge in, and I usually get killed doing that. So I'm trying to be disciplined in this game and stay back in a sniping position. So I'm at 2 times speed again. I do apologise for this first part of the game being a bit boring, but it gives you more context for the game. At the moment there's 1 tank lost on each side. Okay, we spot a T-34 where he shouldn't be and get a nice shot into him for 432. Average damage of the gun is 400. And he's hiding behind that house again. Speed it up to 2 times again. So I can see now that we are spotting and these other tanks are in range. I turn around, I see there's a Tortoise there on the island. I move now to see if I can get a shot on the Tortoise. Being that only true legendary players drive Tortoises, I thought I'd go and have a look, but no, he's actually looks like he might be on the other side of the island, so I'm not going to get a shot on him at the moment. Back up to 2 times speed. Looking for that STI up there. There's no shot. Building's in the way at the moment. It's 1-2 score, so it's still very close. But time is ticking away. We're halfway through the game and there's only been 3 tanks killed in total. And we got 1 of them. So if you think it's been boring for me, it's been really boring for the other players. I'm slowing down to normal speed again. T-34 still hiding there, not coming out at the moment, so there's not much you can do. I can see his gun. The rest of him is behind the building. I decide to try and shoot his gun, in hopes of critting it and making him use a repair kit, but doesn't look like we hit it. Believe it or not, you can do that with things like this, with this tank, because it's quite accurate. You can actually hit people's guns like that. It doesn't look like he wants to play. I'll speed it back up to 2 times. There's an M103 back to normal speed. On the island, who's come out in the open. Big mistake. We did track him. He's used the repair kit. But as you can see, the excellent reload speed of this tank really allows you to get more than 1 shot on people. And he's now been dispatched. I'm speeding it back up to 2 times again now. Oh, slowing it down again. There we go. AMX 1390 stuck his head out on the ridge. He manages to get into cover before my teammates can finish him off. Speed up to 2 times again. Alright, slowing it down. There you go. We've got an object 704 come out into the open. Let's get another shot if we can. Oh, beautiful. 2 shots into his side. That thing hits really hard, so it's good to well, be able to actually finish it off like that. Now we've got the STI. Didn't have much to shoot at there. This looks better. 358 is a low damage roll for this gun, but I'll take it. Now I probably should have just shot blind there. Don't know why I didn't, but I reckon I should have. Can we see the Tortoise? No, he's still on the other side of the island. As you see, very slow to turn this tank. It looks like we've got another shot on the STI and we're able to finish him off. Now it's 9-10. It's still very close. We have 5 tanks. They have 6. T-34 has been knocked out, so we've both got 5 tanks. It's 10-10. Now I've been so disciplined sniping that really I'm thinking I probably should move forward, but the only thing I've got to stop them getting my sides or getting past me is that AMX 1390. And he's deciding to drive into the line of fire, which probably isn't a good thing. I was hoping he would pull back because I'm going to need him to help defend the left flank in a minute, because it looks like they're going to... We've got nothing stopping them attacking our left flank except perhaps the STA one in the middle. I move up to try and offer a bit of help to the 1390, but I'm really worried about getting much further ahead because they'll drive past me and shoot me in the back. Now I've been spotted now for the first time in the game, and we managed to nail that T69, but unfortunately we got hit for 566 by their artillery. So I was really rapt to nail him before he was able to get past me, because if he had got past me it would have been all over for us. He would have just driven around the back and killed us. So that was great, but unfortunately, yeah, artillery got us. And like I say, that's why you can't, like if we'd have been further forward near the front line, he had just driven past us, it's all over. That's why you really need to be way back in this tank. As you can see, it's not a fast mover. I've used my repair kit to I think that was my driver that was hit, so I've used my med kit to repair him, because this thing with a dead driver is a joke. Okay, so we dispatched the M103 there, and now we've got the SU-152 side of. I don't know if we hit that. I hope we did. He's still alive though, so maybe we missed. It's 3 tanks each. They have a Tortoise, which I think is pretty much on full health because it hasn't done anything for the whole game. That SU-152 there, I know who's injured, and their artillery. And we have our STA-1 in the middle there, who's done a pretty good job the whole game, managed to stay there and stay alive, but he is damaged. So I'm moving in a position where I can hopefully spot these guys that are coming in. I stupidly knock over a tree, so I could get hit by Artie at any minute if he was watching. I'm a little surprised I can't see them. Ah, Tortoise is on the island still. For some reason I thought he was off the island. Ah, that's right, because I remembered seeing 2 tanks, but I killed one of the 2 tanks, so there's only 1 tank at this side now. STA-1 was dispatched by the Tortoise. I'm torn now between facing this way or turning to face the Tortoise. There's a bit of a mound between me and the Tortoise at the moment, which I decided to turn and try and face the Tortoise, because I thought the ISU would have been into me now if he was coming in quick. So I want to try and spot this Tortoise in the way and put a couple of shots in, because I think he's pretty much on full health still. I've been spotted, and it looks like it is the Tortoise that spotted me. We get one into his cupola, and he gets one into us. Try and put one to his side, but it bounces, and ISU 152's got me. And we managed to dispatch him. What happened? A draw. Yeah, it ran out of time. So it was my Tortoise against the other Tortoise, and our RT won each, and time ran out. Oh well, so we might have done a bit more damage if it had kept going, and who knows, but time ran out. So we ended up doing well for awards there. We got Top Gun, Tank Sniper, and High Caliber. And it was a second class badge. So it's very hard to get mastery in this tank. Let's have a look at the next screen. And we can see that we actually finished second for experience in our team. The STA-1 actually finished on top, and well done to him. He did a fantastic job in the center. Did a fair bit of damage and was basically spotting and doing a lot of work for the team. He did a really good job. What's his name? Gateju? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, next screen, and you can see here we fired 22 shots, 19 direct hits, most of them at long range. We penetrated with 16 of those shots, which is pretty good. We were firing at some heavy tanks. Damage 5,454, which is the most damage I've managed to do in the tank. Excuse me. Hits received 5, penetrations 3, so it was good that we bounced a couple of shots there. We damaged 10 vehicles and destroyed 6, which is an excellent result, and did about 713 spotting damage, which is not much because we were at the back. Defense points 20, 57,000 income. If we get the 5 was for courageous resistance. So because we won some medals or whatever, we got the courageous resistance, which ended up with 29,000 profit, which is okay. We received 671, but with courageous resistance that came up to 1075, which is class 2. I have received over 1100 experience before, and it was still a class 2. So mastery would have to be about 1400, 1500 experience. Would be pretty hard to get. Okay. Thank you for watching my review of the aptly named Tortoise. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.